So you've bought a camera and you've practiced enough using the kit lens, or maybe when you bought the camera you only got a body like this, and you're starting to look for a new lens, your first lens possibly. Well, as you start your research, you are quickly going to run into the main question. Do you want a prime lens or do you want a zoom lens? Let's talk. Now, both prime lenses and zoom lenses have their purpose, and they can both serve you really well if you know what to use each one for. So there are a number of things that you need to consider to make an informed acquisition. So let's have a look at what is a zoom lens and what is a prime lens. A zoom lens is a lens with a variable focal length. So to put it plainly, it is the lens that you can, well, zoom. And we're talking about actually zooming, where the pieces of glass inside the lens are changing what is actually hitting the sensor, like a telescope. Unlike what usually happens in phone cameras for the most part, where zooming in means that the image is simply cropping in what is already visible. So just by that, you might already begin to see the usefulness of a zoom lens. Like my very first lens that I'm using right now was the Sigma 18-50 f2.8. With that focal range, I can now use the lens at 18 millimeters, so the wide angle spectrum, for stuff like videos like I'm using right now, or I can zoom in to 35 millimeters, which, since I have an APS-C camera, is equivalent to 52 millimeters, or I can zoom in all the way to 50 millimeters. Once again, full frame camera would be 75. And those focal ranges have various uses. The 50 millimeter full frame equivalent equates to pretty closely to what the human eye sees naturally. 75 millimeters is really close to being 80, which is the prime focal length for portraits, since there's the least distortion. And then at 18 millimeters, so full frame equivalent 27 millimeters, is great for video stuff. But the point is, it's versatile. So simply put, a zoom lens will give you a lot of versatility. A jack of all trades, you might say. So you can do a wide range of different stuff by simply getting one lens. The downsides of a zoom lens is pretty much twofold, maybe three. One, they're bigger than primes. And two, well, since you have more glass, more moving parts, it requires more materials, the lenses are more expensive. On top of those two, there's the third fact, that is that they tend to have smaller apertures. So that means there's less background blur or bokeh available with zoom lenses. So if you're looking for those very artistic portraits, zoom lens might not be the best idea. Prime lenses, on the other hand, are lenses with one fixed focal length. For example, my 35 millimeter right here. Now, while you might find the idea of one focal length and no ability to zoom limiting, it really isn't. Because if there's one thing that you really want to do with the camera and you want it to do that really well, a prime lens brings with it a lot of upsides. First of all, prime lenses tend to be cheaper since you have less stuff moving in them, less materials, less cost, and also a smaller size. And that is why prime lenses are fantastic travel lenses. Like my very first prime. As I swapped one of my older cameras with my girlfriend's DSLR, the first lens that I got for that was the 35mm f1.8. It was extremely cheap. It is the close equivalent to a nifty 50. It's small. So that is going to be a fantastic lens to take with us when we go on a trip next month. And it eases a lot of the concerns that I would have had if I had taken my zoom lens, since it can break, it can get dusty, all of that stuff. And also, as you might have noticed, the zoom lens was an f2.8, the prime is a f1.8. Now this is a big difference since the wider aperture allows me much more flexibility when it comes to the lighting conditions, meaning that it will be a lot easier to take good photos with proper exposure in low light situations when I have a lens that opens up that wide. Or if I want to take photos with the maximum background blur, with that, I can get a lot more blurry than an f2.8. In terms of performance, while the zoom lenses might be jacks of all trades, prime lenses really are the masters of one. So if you have a zoom lens and a prime lens and you're using them both at 35 millimeters, if the prime lens is a decent lens, it's probably gonna do a better job, since it is designed for that one focal length in particular. Even on a more budget camera like this, the photos that come out of the 35 millimeter are fantastic, and I ended up liking them way more than I thought I would. And speaking of liking things, if you've made it this far in the video, make sure you drop a like on it. Thanks. As a bonus, having a set focal length might actually make you better as a photographer. And I know some of you are going to be pissed right now, but hear me out. When you have one focal range that you need to work around, so you're essentially putting a limitation on yourself, getting a good photo becomes more about you than the camera. So if you need something to be closer or bigger in the photo, get closer. If you need more stuff in the photo, go further away or find a new creative angle that will allow you to fit everything that you wanted inside. So which one should you then get as your first lens? Let me know what you think in the comments below. But what do I think? Well, as with everything, that depends. If you have a wide array of uses, then getting a zoom lens might be the smarter option. But if you just want a travel camera or something like that, a prime lens will usually get you there a lot cheaper. And with travel stuff, there is a reason why the Nifty 50 is probably one of the most popular lenses out there. All right, that is all I got this time. Remember to stop by the comments and like the video on the way, and also make sure you turn that red subscribe button gray. Well, actually, I don't suppose it's red anymore. Anyway, have a great rest of your week. Thank you all so much for watching. I will see you all next time. Bye-bye.